In the heart of Beijing, within the imposing walls of the Forbidden City, a young boy named Gyoro Puyi was born into a world of unimaginable grandeur and profound isolation. His life was preordained, not by choice, but by the decree of the dying Empress Dowager Cixi. In the final moments of the Qing dynasty, she plucked him from his family home, designating him as the heir to a crumbling empire. He was barely a toddler, unaware of the immense destiny being thrust upon him. Gentle hands of court attendants, not his mother, would cradle the infant emperor. His world was one of jade rattles and silk slippers, a silent, opulent nursery at the center of a political storm. In 1908, at the tender age of 2, Puyi was carried into the Hall of Supreme Harmony. Before a court of silent, prostrating officials, he ascended the Dragon Throne, becoming the Xuantong Emperor, the last emperor of China. The ceremony was a spectacle of ancient tradition, but for the child at its center, it was a terrifying and confusing ordeal. He was now the son of heaven, a living deity, yet a boy who still cried for his wet nurse. From the Dragon Throne, the vast silent halls seemed to stretch into infinity. The boy emperor was the absolute ruler of nearly 400 million people, yet he could not command his own life. The Forbidden City, a sprawling palace of 9,999 rooms, became his gilded cage. Its magnificent architecture and priceless treasures were the bars of his prison. Every courtyard, every pavilion was a reminder of his unique status and his complete separation from the outside world. The courtyards stretch out in strict, imposing symmetry, their breathtaking beauty doubling as a form of confinement. He was the master of this domain, but he was forbidden from ever stepping beyond its crimson walls. Forbidden from leaving, Puyi's childhood was a lonely and surreal existence. He was a god to those around him, but a boy without a single friend. Beyond the carved lattices, the real world of Beijing bustled with life, a world he could only imagine. He was surrounded by thousands of eunuchs and servants who bowed and scraped, yet offered no genuine companionship. He yearned for the simple joys of a normal childhood, a life he would never know. His days were a monotonous cycle of elaborate rituals and ceremonies. Every meal, every change of clothing, every step he took was governed by centuries of rigid protocol. It was a stark, suffocating contrast to the freedom he craved. Jade seals and silk sashes dictated his every gesture. He was a symbol, a collection of duties, with the child inside slowly being erased by the weight of tradition and expectation pressing heavily on his young shoulders. He would play alone in the vast palace gardens, his laughter a small, lonely sound, echoing through the empty courtyards. His only real source of affection was his wet nurse, Wang Lianshou, but even she was eventually banished from the court, leaving him utterly alone in his palatial prison. Across these empty courtyards, his small figure would pass, a solitary ghost in his own home, his echoes fading into the silence of the ancient stones. But outside the palace walls, the winds of change were gathering into a hurricane. In 1911, the Xinhai Revolution, a nationalist uprising, swept through China, determined to topple the 2,000-year-old imperial system and establish a republic. The Qing dynasty's mandate of heaven had run out. Within the deserted halls, a toppled standard flutters. An era was not just ending, it was being violently erased. On February 12, 1912, at the age of just 6, Puyi was forced to abdicate. The document was signed on his behalf, a final formal act that dissolved an empire. His world, the only world he had ever known, was forever and irrevocably changed. The boy, who was once the son of heaven, the divine ruler of the Middle Kingdom, became a prisoner in his own palace. Under the terms of his abdication, he was allowed to remain within the northern half of the Forbidden City, a strange, hollowed-out existence as an emperor without an empire. He turned away from the throne, walking down endless corridors under repeating arches, no longer an emperor but a relic of a bygone age, trapped in the magnificent tomb of his ancestors. Puyi's story is a poignant and tragic reminder of the immense price of power and of the enduring fundamental human need for connection and freedom. His journey from a divine emperor to an ordinary citizen was just beginning. At dusk, he passes through a great gate, a symbolic passage from one life to the next. After being expelled from the Forbidden City and a tumultuous life as a puppet ruler and a prisoner, Puyi eventually became a citizen of the People's Republic of China. He died in 1967 from complications of kidney cancer and heart disease, age 61.